All right, we are back. It's been a little while, but you know, I'll get into that some other time. Maybe make another video why I've been gone so long. But anyway, we are here. I do still have the Duramax, and I've got a new to me, 93 Ranger. Love this little guy. Been real good. 200 and some thousand miles. Not sure just how many. Engine is real clean on it. Gone through all the fluids, of course. But I still am having issues with the what's it called? Coolant. Not so much issues, but when I got it, who knows how long it had been sitting. I'll pop a picture up here. The coolant that I drained out initially looked like mud, basically, almost, you know, darker than a brown cardboard box practically. But anyway, I've flushed this thing about 4 or 5 times now. Last time I did it, I even let the water run through the hoses back and forth, fill up the radiator, drain the radiator, run it through the hoses both sides, through the, what's that thing, the heater core, you know, forwards, backwards. Probably for about a good 10-15 minutes worth of water run through this thing till it did come out clear. And I'm still got still brown. It's not, of course, not near as bad as it was, but it's still not clean. So I want it cleaner. Watched a couple videos on it. This is one of those things that kind of baffled me. A coolant filter. I am dark in this thing, aren't I? Good old backlighting. I'm sorry about flipping y'all around here. But, yeah, coolant filter. Watch a couple of videos, other guys that put them on other trucks. Some trucks come stock with them, I believe. The Ford or Dodge, one of those two, I believe, come stock with coolant filters. Have for a while, maybe, you know, that sort. But even still, anything I've ever owned has never had a coolant filter. Because it's a closed system, kind of like your rear end or your, you know, that sort of stuff. It just circulates, and you change it out every 3 to 5 years or whatever, and go on. But this thing's nasty. I'm going to put a coolant filter on here and see if we can't clean this up, get it looking a lot better. I'll show you here what I've got. I've got a Wix part number 24763. It's this guy right here, the filter base. There, you know, you can find them at O'Reilly's, wherever, but I'll tell you what, online is the way to go with this stuff. I love to shop local, 100%, but you know, it is what it is. When you can save half the cost on something, I'll get it where it's going to be cheaper. If I'm going to save a couple bucks, $5, whatever, I'll get it local. But point being, check online for this stuff, or local. It is made in the USA, so that's a plus. But that's that. The filter itself is a Wix 24070. My understanding, there is a shorter one. This one isn't that big anyway. You know, about as big as your 51515 Wix filter, if you know how big those are. About the same size, so it's not overly huge. But there is a smaller one. These two fittings here, these brass fittings, they are part number 570011008. Again, there's 5/8 barb, 1/2 inch NTP male. You find those online. Most heater hoses are 5/8, but of course double check with your application. I think everything is 5/8 for a heater hose. Unlike fuel hoses and other stuff where it could be 1/2 inch, 5/16, or whatever, different sizes. Check your application. A couple new fittings here. I'm going to go ahead and replace, just for ease of doing this, the upper if you will, heater hose. My application 18083. Reason I'm going to do it like I am, I don't know if you can tell on here, the end of this hose actually swells where it attaches to the coolant neck, the thermostat housing. and the other end is 5/8, but this end, for some reasons, you know, they swell. But what I'm going to do, disconnect from here. This one here comes down, like I said, this upper, kind of dark down, upper coolant hose, which is the thermostat housing neck. I'm going to leave the one on the water pump alone. I'm just going to route, you know, cut off this swelled end on this one, route it down. Got a nice little hole right here in front of the overflow tank on I believe 94, maybe 95, but I think actually 94. They changed up the routing of the air box and that sort, and it actually goes right here. They changed the washer fluid and the coolant tank to one that fits this way, vice, like mine's an L shape. Of course, got to change stuff up. Makes it a lot harder to find stuff for your specific application. Especially 93s was the first model or body style of this more rounded front ends, where the 93 through 97, actually clear up in 2011, I think is pretty much the same body style with the rounded front ends and whatnot, vice the squared off early 80s or late 80s, early 90s. But anyway, nice spot right here. I've already put a bolt in down here just because hard to get to. Didn't want to mess with that here a little bit, but I got that in there just to make sure anything can fit. Tools, some hose clamp pliers, hose cutter. You know, you can cut, of course, use your pocket knife, whatever. These make a nice clean cut, straight, awesome. I know these hoses are stuck on here good. Got me a little hose, needle nose hose pliers, if you will, whatever, to help grab on and wiggle that guy off there. Whether these will do me any good or not, I've got a couple clamps for the hoses to help minimize leakage of coolant. And like I said, whether it's not going to drain a whole lot anyway, because it's only down there a couple inches below the top of the radiator. Not a whole lot will come out, and I'll be as quick as I can about it, of course. But just to minimize spillage. That's pretty much it. I'm going to get you set up on the tripod here, and let's get going. I know some of this you won't be able to see, but I'll walk you through it once I'm done too, once I get everything routed. It's pretty, I don't want to say straightforward, but with the tight spaces there's not much to see anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Try to describe what I'm doing as I'm doing it, but otherwise, like I said, I'll let y'all know what happens when I'm done. Go ahead and get this guy mounted down here because that hose came off pretty easy. So I'll go ahead and get this mounted, that way I can go ahead and whip hoses in here and have minimal time of the open system leaking or whatever. Oh yeah, that's not That's good. That's not leaking at all. Fishing this one out. I suppose this would have been easier if I took the intake off, but that's okay. Plenty of room. And where we use the original clamps in their original spots and just use worm gear clamps on the new hoses on the housing down there. Got a long one for down here. Yeah, you can use vice grips or pliers. I don't know about you, but those things slide off real easy. I decided to try these actual hose clamp pliers, whatever you want to call them, for the factory, the non-worm gear style clamps. I don't know what the hell they called, band clamp type, but they make all the difference in the world to me anyway. Should have bought some sooner. I just want to get this positioned. Just try and make sure it's down properly so it seals right. Doesn't have a chance to slide off or leak. I decided to slide that stock protective sleeve back over from the old hose, because the way it routes behind the alternator there and whatnot, it's going to rub on stuff. So I figured I'd better put that, for what good it does, I put it back on. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and cut this hose down, even though I wasn't going to, because it will fit better, route better without any kinks. So I am going to, and that again, these stock heater hoses, it's not just 5/8, one end swells to half inch or whatever. Anyway, yeah, the other end swells for the fittings by the water pump and the thermostat housing. So it's not just a straight 5/8 hose. But these were 30 something at the local parts store, O'Reilly's, wherever. But I got them online for about $18 each. I got both hoses for the price of one from online. So again, look online for a lot of your stuff. Shop local if you can. You know how that goes. These days, money's everything right now. Thanks to people that want inflation. So I was going to, once I got this cleaned up, take the filter off of here and then just use my stock, the new hose, take the old hose off, and then have both all brand new hoses. But now I'll definitely need to order a new hose when I do decide to do that, if I decide to take this out of the system to route the stock hose to the stock location. But that's alright. Cheap enough. Inexpensive enough. It's still a Gates hose, it's a good hose. There's a difference between cheap and inexpensive. You just gotta know the difference, what you're shopping for. I grab both sides last time, so I want to catch it just barely enough to still hose in here. There's a lot more chunk to it. Okay. Now, one thing I didn't check was the coolant flow. I'm pretty sure the way the pump rotates, the water pump rotates, and the way the fittings are located, that the pump will suck water from the heater core and pump it through the block, through the from the thermostat housing first into the heater core. So in other words, the coolant flow goes from the thermostat housing, hopefully down here to the inlet on the coolant filter, and then back out all the way around through the system. But like I said, I forgot to check that first, see just exactly which way the coolant flow went. I'm going to fire up the truck right quick and make sure that the coolant is coming out this inlet part and not through the return port. So I'm going to cut you off right quick, move you out of the way, just so I don't bump you or nothing like that. And I'll bring you back here in a second. Okay, very good. Let me show you what I got right quick. Right here is the hose I just replaced. Comes behind the alternator, down into the inlet side of the filter housing. Outlet side is the old hose. Just comes right back up, back to the heater core. I use a nylock nut, locking nut for the bolt here in the fender. Hold that guy nice and secure. So, yeah, pretty straightforward. You've seen about how quick it was. I know I'll probably fast forward through a lot of this, but yeah, all of other than rounding up tools, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at most. And, you know, so just depends on how hard your hoses are to come off, really. But let me get the filter out, and we'll throw that on here, top off our fluids, and go from there. Alright, got our filter. Actually says coolant filter on it. Some filters have additives in them to replenish the properties of coolant. Not so much silica, but certain coolants have certain properties for corrosion prevention, lubrication of your pump, and all that sort of stuff. This one here does not have any of those additives in it. You know, I'm not worried about that with this setup. But there are actual coolant filters. I saw some online where they just used regular oil filters. I suppose that'd work. I was going to go that route because they're definitely cheaper. You know, it's $5-6 for an oil filter, where this one was a bit more, not overly expensive, but a bit more. But I also want to make sure that it's going to filter properly, being that it's coolant and water, not oil. So anyway, I went ahead and went with the coolant filter. If you don't know also, the reason I checked for inlet flow on that housing, I should have showed you before I put it in. But on filters, the outside holes here, that's your inlet. Oil, water, fluids go in to your filter on the outside of it. They'll go through the filter media and then come back out through the center. And that'll be your filtered fluid coming out through the center. One way, they're not designed to go the other way. Not that it'll cause issues, but definitely not the way they're designed to operate. I don't know what the exact issues would be, but not designed to operate that way, be it bypass valves or anything else like that inside the filter, let alone just the media blowing out as opposed to being trapped the way it was designed to flow through. So anyway, proper flow goes through the out holes and then comes out the center hole. Anyway, let's throw this on. Here, I wanted to show you something right quick before I start this up, check for leaks, and top this off. I just happened to pop the cap. I don't know if you can see, well heck, right there. That's my friggin' coolant right now. So that's what we are. You can see there is some stop leak in there, looks like. But yeah, it's brown. So that's what I'm hoping to remedy from this. I do have a new radiator in this, a new water pump. Everything else works good, so let's try to make sure everything stays working good, as old as it is. 30 years old, 93. So runs good. Well, I'll tell you more about it in another video, I think. We'll do a walk around or something. But anyway, let me start this up, fill up that filter. This will drop some. I'll top off the coolant, and we'll wrap it up from there. Alright, so there you go. One coolant filter installed in my 93 Ranger. It's got the 3-slow on it, 5-speed. And we'll see if this cleans up this coolant. It's done wonders for other people, supposedly, in their dirty systems. Hoping it'll do something, if nothing else. we'll take her out and put it back to stock hose routing locations. But appreciate you watching. I hope to do a few more videos. It's been a couple years since I did one last, but I hope to start doing a few more here in the time coming up. We'll check back later. Like, subscribe, you know all the routine. We'll cover that some other time. See y'all later.